Hello yogis, welcome to your root chakra asana practice today. Whenever you're ready, just finding yourself in a comfortable seated position on your mat. Maybe using a pillow, a block, or a bolster to prop up your hips, just to give your hips some room, to make this a comfortable place to be just for a few minutes, stacking your crown over top of your root, creating a direct line of energy from your sacrum all the way up to the top of your crown. Whenever you arrive, taking a few deep breaths to root yourself into this present space. Maybe taking a soft gaze, looking around the room, taking in your space. Noticing that you are safe and secure right where you are. And this is a safe place to practice. A safe place to let down your guard and allow yourself to just be. Now closing down your eyes, allowing your focus, your attention to settle on your exhale. One of my teachers says, the magic is in the exhale. This ability to release, to surrender, and to trust. And that begins with trusting gravity, trusting our bodies, and trusting ourselves. Maybe tuning into your ujjayi breath here, that ocean breath in which we slightly constrict the throat, and listening to the inhale and exhale of our breath. And this is a good place to start trusting. Our breath is with us from the day we're born until the day we transition. Relying on your breath here to take you deeper into this human experience. Start noticing how gravity is holding you. How gravity is keeping you rooted to the surface of this mat. Feeling into your body. Remembering that you are here in this body, in this vessel, and this is a safe place to be. You have a right to be here. You have a right to have your needs met. Stanley Kellerman says, just as the groundedness of a tree roots the flow of sap from earth to leaves and from leaves to earth, so does our groundedness channel the flow of excitement from ourselves to the environment and from the environment to ourselves. So in this moment, I invite you to allow. Allow Mother Earth to hold you in this space. Allow gravity to pull you in, connecting you to the ever-flowing energy of Mother Earth, the ever-flowing abundance that stems from her. Allowing your roots to be nourished, and allowing your roots to direct the flow of energy into your body. We're going to slowly open our eyes, bring our hands together, starting to rub them together to create heat. Then we're going to bring our hands to our right foot. Now, you just come to any position that's comfortable for you. Maybe your leg is out long, maybe, anyways, whatever position is comfortable for you, we're gonna slowly start to massage our feet one at a time. So coming to our right foot, starting at the baby toe, really massaging it from all angles, giving it some attention. Our feet have so many sensory neurons, and they're constantly receiving feedback from our external environment. Most of us living in modern society wear shoes. Moving to the next toe. And although that's necessary, it also reduces our chance of really feeling our environment around us. So in massaging our feet and in walking barefoot, and maybe if you have some stones that you can walk on, or some sort of different sensory experience to walk on, it's really good for our feet in picking up sensations. And, knowing that we are connected to the earth. Moving to the next toe. Reaffirming this connection with the earth. Really feeling the earth underneath us. The next toe. So your feet and your toes might be really sensitive. And this is very, very normal. So don't worry. But it's important to be in touch with our bodies. And when there's imbalances in our first chakra, it usually means that either we are stuck in our bodies and stuck in this material way if we're excessive. However, if we're deficient, a lot of us get disembodied. So really feeling our bodies. Now starting to massage the ball of your foot. Can also be really interesting getting back in touch with our bodies. It can be interesting massaging our feet because there's a lot of reflexology points. And if you go online and you search a reflexology chart, you can actually see if you're having a lot of tension or a lot of pain in one specific spot, you can see how that may relate to a body part. So for example, when we let's move into the middle of the right foot, and this middle arch, maybe massaging there and seeing how that feels. Now in that middle arch, there's a point for our adrenal glands. And a lot of us, so many of us in this busy Western world of us, have a lot of pain there, either due to not enough sleep or imbalanced hormones. So just noticing if there's a spot where it's really uncomfortable for you, it might be a good idea to pull up the chart to see how that connects to something. Maybe your liver, the part of your foot that connects to the liver, is hurting because maybe you're angry with someone. So there's these metaphysical connections that we can make. All right, moving to the left foot, starting on that baby toe. And in doing this, if there's like cracks or creaks, moving to the next toe. Yeah, if there's cracks or creaks, this is feedback. This is good feedback. We're creating space. And when we create space and when we move through the next toe, when we create space and we move through the tension, it can also bring up some pretty intense emotions. And we keep a lot of our emotions and a lot of our memories in the tissue next toe, the tissues, and the myofascial, the myofascia of the body. Big toe. So I really like to do this practice before bed. I find it's really helpful in just moving to the ball of the foot now. It's really helpful for me to just connect with my feet at least once a day. I have had and still have a deficiency in my root chakra, so it's very important for me to be connecting with my ground, with the earth element, and in really getting in touch with our feet. We're reaffirming our connection to earth, right? So just moving through your feet. Now, notice how this side is different. For me, this side is a lot more tender. And there's different schools of thought around that. Some schools of metaphysical schools of thought think that the right side of our body is our relationship side, and our left side of our body is our career side. In yoga, our right side of the body is our masculine or sun side, so that's our doing side. And the left side of our body is our being side, or our feminine. So just noticing and seeing if there's any connections that you make intuitively. There's one thing being told that something is because of something, and there's another thing, like there's another way of feeling into it, right? All right. Maybe giving your ankle, your heel, a little massage. And then now if you will join me in Virasana, so just sitting back on your heels, we're going to tuck the toes. Make sure you get all of the toes. For me, I struggle to get that baby toe, so just doing your best here. And we're gonna sit back on our heels. This can be extremely intense for some people. So if it is intense, just leaning forward or moving your sacrum away from your heels. But we're gonna stay here for a little bit, just opening up, stretching out those lines of our feet. Maybe bringing our hands to clasp together. Rolling them out, rolling our wrists out. Maybe doing some waves, some roller coasters with our arms, switching direction. Just really breathing into the discomfort here. Sometimes this can bring on like foot spasms for people or cramps, and that often means that there's not enough hydration in your tissues. So drinking lots of water can often ease the cramps. Either keeping on going with the wrist movement if that's feeling good for you, or just staying in this place. Coming back to our breath. Notice what emotions come up when this gets uncomfortable. For me, I get extremely irritable. Sometimes I start to cry. Sometimes I get really angry. Let's take 3 more deep breaths here. All right, now moving forward, untucking the toes, maybe tapping them on the earth, sitting back on your heels now, toes untucked. And now we are going to slightly lean back. So bring your fingertips behind your sacrum, and then we're gonna lean back so that our knees come up off the floor and our toes are untucked here. This creates a nice stretch in our shins, in our ankles, really waking up some spaces in our bodies that get dormant, or they get overused and then we don't stretch them out. Taking 5 more deep breaths here. Returning to that ocean breath. And then releasing that, coming to tabletop position, all fours. You can either tuck the toes or keep them untucked, whatever you feel like your body needs at this moment. Neither is better than the other, they're just different options. We're going to inhale our sacrum up to the earth, pulling our hearts through, and exhale, pressing the earth away from us, gazing back at our navels, taking a few of these cat-cows just to warm up the spine. One more at your own pace. And then we're just going to lower, hugging our arms in towards our midline, just lowering our heart to the earth, coming down to lay down. And we're just going to lie on the earth for a second. And this is a really wonderful grounding tool to connect us back in to Mother Earth. It can be really, really beneficial if we feel anxious or if we feel disembodied to just lie on the earth, on our stomachs. Giving our breath back to Mother Earth. We'll bring our fingertips to tent off of the mat, pressing our toes into the earth, into the mat, and on an inhale, dripping our hearts forward, bringing our shoulder blades to kiss at the back of our back. Inhaling our heart forward, engaged through the core here. Our thighs are lit up. And exhale down to the earth. One more like this. Exhale, pressing down. Inhale to rise. Bringing our hands to the sides of our ribs, pressing back to a child's pose. This child's pose is a great place to come whenever you need to reconnect. It's also a great place to reconnect with our root chakra, because this fetal position is the position that we assumed in the fetus. Not in the fetus, in the womb, when we were a fetus. When we were developing, and in that phase of development, that's when we first start to develop our first chakra. Coming back to this place whenever you need it. We're going to inhale forward to tabletop, tucking our toes, pressing up and back to our first downward dog of the practice. Our hands, looking forward at your hands, making sure that the space between your index and middle finger is pointing forward. We've got an L shape going on with our thumb and index, and our hands are pressing into the earth at all points, and they're suctioned into the earth. Our shoulders are moving away from our ears. Our ribs are knit in. Our core is engaged. Looking back at our knees, we've got a slight bend in our knees. Your heels do not need to touch the ground. Maybe taking some movement in this first downward dog of the practice, pedaling out your feet, or moving your hips from side to side to get into the side body. Or perhaps taking some stillness here. Slowly, like you're walking through the thickest honey, tiptoeing our way up to the top of our mats. Once we arrive, bringing 2 fists between our feet and ensuring that our feet are hip-width distance apart. Exhale to release into this Uttanasana, shaking your head out to ensure that it's heavy and hanging. Hips rise up to the sky, maybe grabbing opposite elbows. Giving yourself a nice, generous bend through your knees here, not locking them out. Rather, creating some space for opening. Bringing your hands to our shins, inhaling, halfway lift, elongating our spine, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, forward fold. Inhaling all the way up to stand. Bringing our hands to heart center. Setting up our Tadasana here. So in yoga, we call the connection of our feet to the earth Parabandha. So Parabandha is having this solid connection with the earth. So rooting all 4 corners of your feet and then creating a lift in the inner arch of our foot, picking up all 10 toes, spreading them wide, and then one by one bringing them back down to the earth. Taking a little bend in our knees, creating an external rotation of our shins and then an internal rotation of our thighs. So our knees track above our ankles. And then rooting our pubic bone down towards the earth, creating a direct engagement of our core. Inhaling our shoulders up and back so that our scapulas kiss on our back body. Palms are either facing forward or in towards the body. And heart is open here. Gaze is forward. There's a slight tuck of the chin, like we're holding a grapefruit underneath. This is our Tadasana, our mountain pose. Very active pose. Close down your eyes here. And imagine that your legs are like straws, sucking up the vital energy, the vital prana from the earth, that life-giving, abundant energy, starting to move through your feet, up your shins, through your knees, up your thighs, through your pelvic floor, and then starting to move up the Sushumna Nadi, up your spine, vertebrae at a time. Until it reaches the crown. Feel your cells scintillating with this energy, like stars in the night sky. And with this newfound energy, inhaling our arms up towards the sky. Exhale, engaging our core, bending our knees forward, folding forward, pressing our hands into the earth. Stepping back to a plank position. Shoulders stack over wrists. Hips in line with shoulders. And pressing back to a downward facing dog. Using your breath as an instrument to connecting deeper with your experience, to getting in touch with your body. Allowing your breath to be the tool in which you revisit, you reconnect with your body. Inhaling your right foot up towards the sky, ball presses back, feet, toes spreading. Inhaling your right foot to your right thumb. Dropping your left heel so that your left outer edge of the foot is in line with the back of your mat. Engaging your right glute here, pulling your feet towards one another, lifting up to a warrior two. Settling into your warrior two here. Ensuring your heels are in alignment, or your right heel is in alignment with your left inner arch. Your right knee stacks on top of the right ankle, making sure that it's not knocking in. Arms are parallel with the earth, and our gaze is over top the right middle finger. Using our breath to take us deeper into the experience. And there's a spiraling energy moving up through that left foot all the way up to the pelvis. We're going to inhale, reach forward, flipping our right hand up and reversing our warrior, making sure that our left hand either comes to the thigh or the shin, but not the knee. Checking back in with your right knee, making sure it's still stacked over top of the right ankle. And exhale, back to center. Inhale here. Exhale, dropping the right forearm to the right thigh, bringing your left hand in front of you, moving the left shoulder back into the socket, and then bringing our left arm over top our left ear. Engaging our core here. And then inhale back to center. Exhale, windmilling our arms down to the earth, pressing back to our plank position. Dropping knees, chest, chin. Exhale through to lying on your stomach. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, pressing back through your knees, back to a downward facing dog. Inhaling our left foot up towards the sky. Pressing the ball of your foot back, spreading your toes, and then on an inhale, moving your left foot to your left thumb. Inhaling here, dropping the right foot over to the left hand side, the right heel over to the left hand side, aligning your outer edge of your right foot to the back of the mat, pulling your feet towards one another, engaging your left thigh to bring you up to the warrior two. Ensuring your heels are aligned here, or your left heel is in line with the middle of the arch. Check in with that left knee. Is it stacked directly over your left ankle? If it's collapsing in, just guiding it back. Pressing into the outer edge of that right foot. Arms are parallel to the earth. Gaze is over the left middle finger. Inhaling forward, flipping your left hand up and moving back to an exalted warrior. Glutes are firing up here. Maybe there's some shaking in the legs. This is completely normal, especially if we're not used to a very grounded sensation. Inhaling back to center. Exhale, dropping our left forearm to our left thigh. Inhaling our right arm in front of us, plugging our shoulder back into the socket, And then bringing the right arm over our right ear. Inhaling back to center. Exhale, windmilling your arms down, pressing back to a plank position. Either lowering knees, chest, chin here, or moving through a vinyasa, coming to a chaturanga dandasana, then inhaling our hearts through to an upward facing dog. And exhaling back to a downward facing dog. When heat builds in the body, taking a big exhale out of our mouth releases heat. And it also grounds us in to our body's experience. And it allows us to release something that we've been holding on to, like a big namaha. So big sighs, big exhales are deeply encouraged. Inhaling our right foot up to the sky. Exhale, placing it at the right thumb. Inhale, up to that warrior two. Exhale. Inhale, flipping our palm up to the sky. Exalted warrior. Exhale, up to warrior two. Inhale here. Exhale, extended warrior. Inhale back up, bringing our hands to clasp behind our sacrum. Shoulder blades come to touch, pulling our hands away from our sacrum, sinking our heart to the left hand side of our right thigh. So not resting our torso on our thigh, but right beside. Then dropping our head here, humble warrior. Trying to pull our palms towards one another here. Pulling our feet towards one another here. Full body activation. Exhale, release the hands. Bring your fingertips down to the earth and then walking them out in front of you. Walking them out to this left hand top side of your mat, pressing into the earth, pressing the earth away from you, opening into that hip, ensuring that your right knee is still stacked on top of the right ankle. Inhaling, walking back. Exhale, turning the right foot forward and dropping in to a surfer's lunge. Your left foot can be down. I like to go onto the heel and then to engage and flex my foot. Just to note, your right heel does not need to be down on the right side. As long as you're feeling sensation and it feels like healthy sensation, not pain, then you're just fine. If there's any pain, moving to a more comfortable place. Exhale, pressing back into that right foot, swiveling it back to that warrior two, and then windmilling your hands down, pressing back to that plank, going back through that vinyasa. Inhaling your heart through to that down dog, up dog, and pressing back to down dog. I'd like to note that if you're taking those vinyasas with the Chaturanga Dandasana, ensuring to keep your arms at a 90-degree angle. So your shoulders in line with your elbows, and then your elbows stacked on top of your wrists. This just keeps integrity in your whole shoulder girdle. Inhaling your left leg up to the sky. Exhale, left foot to left thumb, coming to that warrior two. Checking out your alignment. Inhale, exalted warrior. Exhale, center. Inhale, exhale, extended warrior. Inhale, center, bringing your hands to clasp behind the body. Awkward clasp this time. So if you usually clasp the one thumb in front of the other, clasping the other one. Checking out your left knee, making sure it's still stacked. Pulling your palms towards one another. Your hands are being pulled towards the earth. And then we sink our hearts towards that right top corner of our mats, dropping our heads here, looking back at the left back side of our mats. Humble warrior, bowing to Mother Earth here. Two more deep breaths. Releasing your hands, bringing your fingertips in front of you. And finding a comfortable place to press your hands down and back, opening the left hip. Keeping that left knee stacked on top of the left ankle. And then swiveling the left foot and coming into that surfer's lunge. So just make that transition as smooth as possible for yourself. Coming into a comfortable place. So if that means actually just sitting back holding that tension between opposites, then that's completely okay too. That means bringing blocks to prop you up. Whatever supports you here. Inhaling here. Exhale, we're going to rotate that left foot back to the top of our mats. Windmilling our hands down and pressing back to our plank position. If you're taking that Chaturanga Dandasana, really like moving our hearts forward, our chins forward, so that we can do that 90-degree angle. It's really hard to talk and do that at the same time. Maybe dropping into a child's pose here. Taking a little break. Taking a moment to reconnect to your breath if you've lost it along the way. To reconnect to Mother Earth. Notice if any part of your body is shaking. Whenever I do very grounding warrior poses, I often get shakiness either in my legs, in my hands, somewhere in my body. And it's completely okay. It's completely normal. It's our body's way of recalibrating. Because when we ground, we open ourselves up to a new charge, the charge from the earth. And when we receive charge, there is more energy moving through the body. And sometimes that just results in us shaking. I'm going to read you another quote by Stanley Kellerman. To be grounded is to be connected to our emotional electric currents, to the waves of our needs and images, and the rhythms of actions which comprise our physical psychic processes, the rhythms of the human and natural ground. So he really eloquently states how when we ground, we open ourselves up to the electrical impulse of the earth. And in doing so, we may reconnect to our needs, our emotions, because that energy is now moving. So just allowing that to be the case. Pressing back up into a downward facing dog whenever you're ready. Inhaling our right foot up to the right thumb. And then swiveling our feet so that they're at like 45-degree angles to the corners of the mat. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, just look at the camera. We're going to inhale into this goddess pose. So bringing our knees to stack on top of our ankles. Our feet are out to 45-degree angles. Our arms are going to come to this cactus position. On an inhale, we're going to rise. And on an exhale, we're going to sink. Inhale to rise. Exhale to sink. Inhale to rise. Exhale to sink. Inhale to rise. Exhale to sink. Now bringing our hands to our thighs, not our knees, our thighs. And really just like lengthening our arms, allowing them to draw up towards our ears. Just allowing there to be like this suspension. Our tailbone is lengthening down towards the earth. And on an exhale, we're going to drop our right shoulder in towards the center. Inhale to center, dropping left shoulder. And in doing so, inhale to center, exhale. We're massaging our hips open. 3 more of these. Really riding the wave of our breath. Inhaling back up to stand. And then heel toeing our heels out and our toes slightly turned in so that the outer edges of our feet are aligned with the top and the bottom of our mats. Inhaling here. After I exhale. Inhaling here. And exhale, folding forward, wide leg forward fold. Really choosing your own adventure with this. If you want your feet further apart, if you want your feet closer together, whatever feels good in your body today. Ensuring that there's a slight micro bend in your knees so that you're not locking out your legs. And then on every inhale, kind of lengthening out your spine, and on the exhale, folding and releasing. We're going to stay here for about 10 more deep breaths. Just using your own breath to massage you into this opening. If there's any pain in your knees, just come out. Come slightly out, reposition. We're just slightly coaxing in the opening of our hamstrings, the opening on the outer edges and the inner edges of our legs. And slowly heel toeing your feet in until they come just a little bit wider than hip width distance. Sinking your hips down here, finding a Malasana squat. So in this Malasana squat, our feet are about 45-degree angles away from one another, away from center. Having a hard time explaining that today. Inhaling our hearts towards our hands. Exhaling here. If this is extremely uncomfortable for you, you can place a lot of blocks or a lot of pillows underneath your sacrum. We're gonna bring our right arm around our right leg and open to the left-hand side. Maybe binding your hands here. If that doesn't work, you can always use a strap, or you can just tent your fingers and open up to the left-hand side. Inhaling back to center. Exhale, either finding the bind or finding it tenting, opening up. And then we're just going to take our hands behind our hips, bringing our feet towards one another into a butterfly pose. Inhaling our heart open here. And then once again, coming back to that connection with our feet. Giving our feet a little rub here. Rubbing the inner arches of our feet. And then folding forward. Not worrying so much about our posture here. Just allowing ourselves to surrender to gravity. Allowing gravity to work her magic. Slowly coming up out of that forward fold, bringing our legs out long on the mat. And then slowly, vertebrae at a time, coming to lie back on our mat. Bringing our knees in towards our chest, hugging it out. Then crossing our right ankle over our left thigh, And then hugging it in, creating a souped up pigeon, a reclined pigeon pose. Either bringing your left hands behind your thigh or clasping them on top of your shin. Pulling that left thigh in towards you. And maybe pressing the right thigh away from you with your elbow. Ensuring to keep your right foot flexed, pointing the same direction as your knee. Three more deep breaths here. And exhaling this whole unit over to the left-hand side. So the outer edge of your left leg is coming to the earth and your right foot is coming to the earth. Maybe slightly guiding your right thigh away from you with your left arm. Keeping your right shoulder on the earth here. Breathing into this space. Inhaling back to center. Exhale, release that right leg long. Release the left leg long. Feeling the difference in the sides. And then bending in the right foot. Bringing your left ankle over top of the right thigh. Clasping your hands either behind the right thigh or on top of the right shin. Pulling that right thigh in towards you as the left knee guides away. Maybe using that left elbow to guide the left thigh away from you. Ensuring that that left foot is flexed to protect the knee. Three more deep breaths here. And then exhaling this whole unit over to the right hand side. Outer edge of the right leg comes to the earth. Left foot comes to the earth. Left shoulder is connected to the earth. And maybe your right hand is pressing the left thigh away from you. Couple more deep breaths here. Inhaling back to center, unraveling, taking any last niggles, maybe hugging your knees in towards your chest, giving your knees a kiss, and then unraveling into your Shavasana. Allowing your sacrum to find a comfortable place on the earth. Feet are wider than the mat. Arms are splayed out wide. Allowing gravity, allowing the earth to serenade you here. Allow the energy to settle back into the earth. Surrendering here. Allowing your roots to grow deeper. I'm going to read you a piece I wrote about 2 years ago now. Mother Earth spoke softly. Close your eyes, child. Soften your grip. Allow your tension to melt into me as snow melts on fire. The trees swayed in submission, and the child listened. The forest sang her a song of connectivity. The stream sang her a song of trust. The snow sang to her of impermanence. The mountains proclaimed to her vast possibility. Her heart began to swell. Her voice began to match that of the earth's. And one morning, in the bosom of Gaia, the dawn's light warmed her face. Her heart cracked open like a robin's egg. A swell of love arose. She no longer understood fear. The life and death cycle became apparent to her as the seasons shifted. Birth, life, death, rebirth. A pronunciated pattern, a rhythm to dance to. Her life the canoe, her intuition, her oars, the waves, everything else. Mother Earth spoke, The child listened, her wildish sensibilities growing stronger by the day. Uncertain, yet ever trusting of the dance of intuition. Staying here as long as you need. And when you're ready to get up, when you're ready to move along with your day, first inviting the breath back into the body, wiggling your fingers and toes, stretching out wide, then rolling to the side, finding a fetal position. And resting here, feeling held. Then pressing yourself up to a seated position, bringing your hands to heart center. Om Yogi. Thank you for your practice. The wild in me honors the wilderness within you. Namaste.